Okay, so this next story is about the federal workers' return to office. And
Debacle.
apparently it's just been terrible and supplies are scarce. They have to bring their own toilet paper and paper towels to work because the cleaning crews are understaffed. They have to handle their own trash. This is so strange. Then there are worries about Legionella, a bacteria that lurks in the base. This is actually at an army base. And the base is World War II era buildings. That's insane to me.
Is it though? Think about the context. They want to force resignations because they can't fire these people.
Yeah,
This is probably by design, I'm guessing.
right. Right. So they're just trying to make it as miserable as possible for people
Yeah.
so that they can
Also, I
leave.
went to school in a World War II era building. It was fine.
You get Legionnaire. You did not get Legionnaires.
I did not, best of my knowledge. Maybe that's why I'm coughing.
Maybe. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, they're really just trying to gut everything. But they're also saying that it's like, yes, I guess it could push people out, but it's making everything less efficient. Doge's whole, we're the most efficient, we're going to cost cut, and we're going to turn the government into a startup. Like, this is sort of the opposite of that.
Well, they have to. I think there's one reality here. They actually don't seem to know what everybody does, as far as they can tell.
Yeah.
And they seem to need to bring them back to start figuring out who's doing things, which is
Mm-hmm.
scary because the people making cuts have no idea who's doing what.
Right.
So the cuts could kill people. Like it could be super dangerous, right? We don't, it's all terrifying,
Yeah.
but there's no way to determine who's doing what unless you can put eyes on them to some extent. Like I
Mhm.
kind of understand the logic. It's just the process seems super dangerous.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Do you think there could
Uh,
be potential cases out of this, like unsafe workplace cases, or no?
well, you could always bring your claim to OSHA. Oh, wait. When they're impacted by Doge. Well, maybe that. I don't know. I mean, you could probably bring a claim in state court. No, you can't. Federal employees. So uh, options are somewhat slim. You could argue. Did you freeze? Uh, can't tell if you're frozen or looking at me in disgust.
Sorry,
You're
I'm
back?
back.
No problem.
Hmm.
Okay. So, all right. Yeah, I just think limited options
So
for redress as
limited.
OSHA gets impacted.
Interesting. Um, well, so speaking of Doge, it turned
You cut off again. At speaking of Doge,
flying through their website. I'm
oop,
sure that.
we missed the first part. What you said. It was uh,
Oh, can you
it
hear
was
me?
frozen. I can hear you now. Yeah. So the last thing I
Okay.
heard was speaking of Doge.
Yeah. So speaking of Doge, all the people that they're firing are apparently, I mean, unsurprisingly, applying for new jobs. And Indeed, which is that job site, put out a report that there's just been like a huge uptick in people applying for jobs. I'm sure this was just a PR plug for Indeed to get out there, but it'll be interesting to see, like, for the people who have been in the federal government for um, for as long as, for sometimes decades, like what going into the private sector will look like.
Would you hire a 20-year federal employee into your business?
That's a good question. I feel like it's so, also my video cut out for some reason, and I don't know why. Um, but you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay, 1 second. I'm going to refresh and then ask me that same question.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back, but still the video is that's so strange. I don't know
It's
what's
okay.
happening.
I mean, it's
Um,
enough to hear your wisdom, right?
okay, yes. So, would I hire? Your question was, would I hire a federal employee?
Like a
Um,
20-year career
Near.
federal employee.
Ooh, that's a good question. Like it so depends on the situation and who they are and like what my need was. Like if I just wanted, I imagine they would be very loyal. I imagine that maybe they, if they had been there for 20 years and they're just looking to go to the next thing that, pays them well. I think there is some truth to the idea that some people do nothing in the government, or like they wouldn't be adaptable or good at uh operating in like a fast-paced environment. That said, I think there are also some wickedly smart people in the government who who went into the public sector because they wanted to help people, and they could have worked in the private sector, but they decided that it was more interesting or more impactful to them in some way to work for the government, and that the problems were bigger and more interesting even if the pay was lower. So I do think that those people won't have a hard time, but yeah, it really just depends, I think, on the if I had a role, what role would it be? Like, do I need someone who's really fast paced? Do I need someone who wants structure, and thrives in structure? I don't know. Um, but I do think that there are a lot of really smart people just being like who are going to now just take everything to the private sector, which is totally fine, but also sad.
Sad?
I think it's sad for people because I think that um, for people like I was talking to somebody who I'm working on this project about certain fired federal workers, and one example was this guy who he managed information security for va.gov. I think I told
Mm-hmm.
you about this guy.
You did.
Maybe he should be managing info security for Pete Hegseth, but he says that he could have gone and worked at a startup. He went to MIT. He could have worked at a big company, focusing on cybersecurity, but he wanted to work for the government. To him, it was more important that vets were able to access their healthcare through va.gov more seamlessly, and that like the information that was shared, um, to va.gov was kept safe and not hacked by bad actors who may want to sell that information to other countries or people on the dark web. So that's, I feel like someone like him or this other woman who I spoke with, she was researching childcare. She was a data analyst and researching childcare costs for HHS and trying to figure out ways to make childcare more affordable for working families. And now she probably will go, work for some childcare tech startup, which again, fine. But I think that those types of people were working in the government somewhat selflessly, like with no motive other than to understand how the world works, right? There's no like IPO or VC investors that you have to pay back, which is like incentive number one of most companies, at least in tech. They
Yeah.
were just doing it because they found the research interesting and like, thought that it could help people. Um, Again, there's so many different types of people that doesn't encompass everybody, and people who are like just sitting around from like 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and staring at their desks. I'm sure that there are people like that who do exist, but I don't think Doge is discerning enough to tell the difference.
Agreed. Yeah, hard agree on that, without a doubt. Yeah, Fl- nothing to add. I perfectly aligned with that response.
Yeah.
I guess
So
the only thing I'll note, somebody recently said to me that MIT, they're like, well, MIT is not one of the Ivies. I was like, yeah, it's way better. Like, what, like, what, are you being serious right now? Like, yeah,
Who said
obviously.
that?
It's
What a thing
literally
to say.
what?
What a thing to say. Who said that? Like, you don't have
I
to
mean,
tell me
somebody went
who
to an Ivy,
exactly. Oh my
obviously.
God. Oh my
And they
God.
actually like, I don't think they knew it. They unintentionally used the voice like a little bit, just a little bit. Like, no
Yeah.
one of the Ivies. And I was like, are we being real right now? Like, are you kidding me? Is this whatever?
Yeah, it's I feel like people who go to MIT also don't boast about going to MIT for them. I only knew he went to MIT because I looked him up and wanted to
Yeah,
understand who he was.
they don't boast because they're busy mattering.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
All
Okay.
right. What's
Would
next?
you hire someone? Can I ask you that question? Would you hire someone from the government who'd been working at the government for the last 20 years?
It's so
Or
department
here.
specific. Like
What
obviously
if
an
it
air
was,
traffic controller, yes, right? Would you say?
yeah. What if it were like a DOJ lawyer
Never.
who got fired? No? Okay.
Um, yeah, just how do I put this? It's like one step below law professor to be a
Mm,
DOJ attorney. Like
yeah.
clearly those who can do, those who
Yeah.
sort of can't teach if they have a good enough pedigree for and they if they went to the Ivies. And
Yes.
then if you don't have the Ivies or you do, but you don't want to teach, hey DOJ, how we doing? Right? So never. Never. And federal prosecutors, a little different, little. But like the attorneys that I see work enforcement for the EEOC, I'm good.
Yeah.
Hard
Yeah.
pass.
Are they just not hard charging enough? Or,
Lackadaisical. Super,
yeah,
super intelligent, but like
right.
give me there's a lot of ways to be good employment attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Being smart and unenthused is not one of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to be a little bit dumb, but willing to just bang heads and lose your mind every day and go hard in the paint, you're going to put up numbers
Mm-hmm.
for people. Might not be the
Yeah.
perfect numbers, but it's going to be way better than I'm so smart, I just can't be bothered. Right? That's
Right.
my
Right.
that is my perspective on the DOJ.
Interesting. You know, I interned there years ago in like 2012
I deeply
on this.
apologize.
No.
It was a trap. Why? Why?
I'm
Why?
sorry. But so what was interesting about so I was actually there. I took the phone call. I was a baby intern and I took the phone call from Glenn Greenwald. No, this
Oh
is
boy.
2013. I took the
Oh
phone call
boy.
from Glenn Greenwald and he wanted to speak to somebody about NSA, the NSA spying on the American public. And I was the first person to take that phone call. And I was
You're
like, I
part of
need to
history. You could have given comment. You could have changed the path of the world.
right?
Yeah, we do it. What of it? You don't like that? Eat it.
I
Like, sorry.
mean, I could have gone by the name Big Balls,
Wow.
and
Wow.
that's basically what's happening
Please
now
provide
at
context for that.
Doge, the Doge
Yes.
intern. Oh,
Yes. Okay.
okay. So
Thank you. I just don't want
people, yeah.
that is a random statement if they did not watch like 2 episodes ago. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, okay. So for everyone who doesn't know, yes, I didn't just pull that reference out of a hat. Elon Musk hired a bunch of young, 19 to 21-year-old guys who are engineers, and one of the engineers is, I think, a 19-year-old who goes by the name Big Balls, and he's very high up at Doge. So that could have been me at the DOJ.
I was a weird kid. I was never that weird.
Yeah.
Like
Same.
that's something.
Yep.
All right. How many we got left?
Um, well, we have one other, but I don't know if we should. It's kind of wonky. We can get into it if you like.
Is this Catholic Charities?
Yeah.
I have theories on this.
Okay, I want to hear your theories.
So the Supreme Court has been on a run of granting Christian organizations the things they want recently.
Hmm.
And they took this case from Catholic Charities, which, if I understand it correctly, amounts to Catholic Charities being like, hey, we're a Catholic organization, so we shouldn't have to pay unemployment. Which, like,
Hmm.
why? Is there a commandment I'm not aware of? Like, it doesn't really make sense, right? Normally, it's like, hey, we shouldn't have to employ this particular protected class because they do something that's actually against the tenets of our faith, which I also don't agree with,
Hmm.
but like, at least there's a logic, right?
Yeah.
But this case sucks so much because the logic is, hey, we're Catholic and we don't engage in parochial education and we don't provide mass, but we say we're Catholic Charities and we do like some stuff to feed people and clothe people. And that's good, which it is. It's good. It's good they do those things. I think they do help people. But
Mhm.
that's not like a great pitch for like when we fire someone, they should be screwed. They shouldn't get unemployment. Like that doesn't really like why? And also unemployment is so cheap. It's kind of a non-issue. Like
Yeah.
it's so cheap. So I suspect Supreme Court said, yeah, yeah, bring that one up so they can find against a Catholic organization to like correct their somewhat questionable pattern recently because they've
Mm.
been finding for Christian organizations. And with the exception of one justice, I think there's only one Catholic justice that I'm aware of. I could be wrong. They're
Hmm.
they're all, I think, different, flavors of Christian,
Yeah.
but they haven't been finding that favorably for Islamic
Mm.
organizations. It's getting a little scary, and I think the optics are not good. I think they're aware of it. So I think they're bringing up this absolute dog shit pile of a case with the
Hmm.
dumbest logic, dumbest argument ever. Catholic Charities, we do nice things, and we're Catholic, so we shouldn't have to pay unemployment. Oh,
Oh
okay.
my God.
And I think they're going to fight against them.
Yeah, because what other nonprofit or NGO is able oh, to do that? Is any other like if you're a nonprofit employer, you can't argue that you help and you're helping the homeless. You can't use that as a reason to deny people unemployment if they're no longer working for you, right?
It depends on the jurisdiction, I believe.
Yeah.
Not positive on that, but I think it does. And I think if you provide religious services or parochial education, religious education, maybe in some jurisdictions you don't have to pay unemployment, from my reading,
Mm.
which also doesn't make any
Interesting.
sense, but fine.
Yeah.
I guess that's the law.
Why is like this? Why do these Catholic charities um, want to deny people if it's so cheap? Like, what is their reasoning?
I think they might have high turnover
Got
and
it. Okay.
they might feel that like coming to work for Catholic Charities is like a calling. You're helping
Right.
people, and it's
Hmm.
not like like they do pay, but perhaps for them it shouldn't be about the money, which is just not the reality. Like growing up where I grew up, I knew people who worked for Catholic Charities and like they wanted to help without a doubt, but they needed
Hmm.
that paycheck to live, right? Like, and that's the reality. I think most of the people working for Catholic Charities need that paycheck, and they probably need the social safety net of unemployment.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Um, well, I guess we'll find out. Your theory sounds accurate to me.
Well, listen, we'll find out. Everybody says I'm wrong.
Really?
Yeah, they say it's gonna go.
That it's going to be upheld?
Yeah, they're like, oh no, the Supreme Court's gonna fine for Christians every single time. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, could be. I mean,
That was
I'm
what you were going to say when
what?
you first started introducing that. That's what I thought you were going to say when you first started introducing this, that they were going to basically, it would be another win for Christian groups and like Christian goals.
Maybe. I mean. Is it Amy Comey Barrett? I believe she's
Is she
Catholic.
Catholic one? She's Catholic. Okay.
She's like a special kind of Catholic, if I understand it correctly. And which I'm Catholic, so I don't know. We're drawing
Yeah.
weird distinctions here because all
I'm
Catholics are
pretty sure
Catholic.
too, I remember there was some article from a couple of years ago when she was getting confirmed that she was part of some group called The Handmaid's Tale, or like she herself was called a handmaid. Do you remember this?
I did not remember that name. I definitely remember that she's in like a specific group within the Catholic Church.
Oh yeah, she served as a handmaid in this religious group called People of Praise.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, that was ripe for a lot of memes when that came out.
So that could be, just to provide context. Are you Catholic at all?
No, I'm a
Okay.
contradiction. I'm half, my dad is Jewish and my mom is Protestant Catholic, but none of us are, practicing,
Wow, the jokes write themselves.
right?
And we will never make those jokes because discrimination is bad. Um, the handmaid thing might have been a humility thing. Also, listen, it's definitely some kind of gender issues because that's what the Catholic Church is.
Yeah,
No cap about that. Let's just face it. There's massive gender discrimination in the Catholic Church. And I'm not like a practicing Catholic. I'm not like, we got to defend the papists or anything, but like, to call yourself a handmaid is probably like an act of humility and something you're trying to do as part of
right,
your faith. It's probably not like a reference to The Handmaid's Tale, where it's like, I want to
right.
be, like, I suspect that her organization might have predated that work of fiction, which kind of chronicles scarily our times. But
Totally.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
that
it, right?
last story. Okay, I will figure out my camera situation for next week.
No worries. It was always a pleasure. Everybody, check out the Substack for Ari. We will link it down below. Share the channel and comment. Give us a thumbs up. All the things. It helps us. It helps the algorithm see us. And I hope everybody has a great weekend.
Thanks, Vince. See you later.
Take care.